Welcome to Money Patterns Decoded. Money is never just about money. It is a pattern. Today we expose one of those hidden patterns, see exactly how it controls your finances, and discover the precise shift that can set you free. Let's begin. Here's a hard observation. Many people treat loss like a moral ledger, as if losing money is proof they were at fault and therefore must shrink their life to atone. They stop taking intelligent risks. They wear scarcity like a badge of honor, and every opportunity is measured against an ancient little voice that whispers, "Don't repeat the shame." That whisper is expensive. I call this the sunk honor pattern. In this episode, I'll show you how that pattern turns past loss into a moral chain, the visible psychological mechanics, and the subtle energetic contract underneath, and a single daily 90-second practice, the release ledger, you can use to convert that stuck energy into seed for growth. By the end, you'll have words, bookkeeping moves, and a micro ritual you can use immediately. First, the psychological mechanism. Most people respond to loss with shame, and shame wants to make identity neat. When a loss arrives, the mind often says, "This is who I am, a person who loses money," and you fuse your identity to that event. That fusion rewires behavior. You stop raising prices, you avoid investment conversations, you choose the safe small project over the high leverage one. Over time, that identity acts like an automatic governor on income and opportunities. Shame also seeks ritual. So people create private vows, subtle rules they repeat. "I'll never risk like that again." Or, "I must save every penny to make up for that mistake." Those vows feel noble. They read like honor. But as behavior, they function as constraints. They close options, and they make the next gain psychologically forbidden. That's the psychological lock of the sunk honor pattern. Now the esoteric side, because patterns have a subtle architecture. When a loss is framed as sacrifice, the subtle body can encode a vow, an energetic contract that honors the sacrifice by restricting expansion. In many traditions, this looks like ancestral vow energy. The idea that a family lineage, or the part of us that keeps promises to the past, holds a ledger of honor. In plain language, your system can literally keep a promise to the past that says, "I will not re-expand where I once contracted." Those energetic contracts are not mystical punishments. They're patterned responses. They conserve energy in the short term. They protect against repeating pain. But they also calcify possibility. Left unexamined, they transform prudent caution into ancestral obligation, and obligation into identity. The result is a life that honors past pain by sacrificing future growth. Here's a reframe that changes everything. Imagine money as a river, alive and flowing, rather than an altar you place sacrifices on. An altar collects tokens of loss. It memorializes them. And when something becomes an altar, it does not return water to the stream. A river, in contrast, is replenished by tributaries. It moves around rocks and heals its banks. Honoring loss by turning it into an altar keeps the water away from your downstream life. Releasing honor in the right way reopens the bank and lets the river carry new abundance. So what does release look like in practice? Meet the 90-second release ledger, a daily move that converts sunk cost energy into seed capital and permission to grow. It has 3 parts: language, bookkeeping, and seed allocation. Part 1. Language. Say aloud or write a short sentence that both honors the experience and removes moral penalty. Example: I acknowledge the loss of $X. I honor the lesson. I release its claim on my future growth. Keep it simple, truthful, and without self-condemnation. If you're triggered by the phrasing, use the gentler alternative. I'm acknowledging a hard financial moment. I am choosing safe steps forward. Part 2. Bookkeeping tweak. Create a line in your ledger called Release Ledger, or a sub-account labeled Release Seed. On the date of the loss, enter the original amount as honored sunk, and then immediately enter a small positive line. Seed allocation 1%, with the numeric value being 1% of either the original loss or your current monthly income, whichever feels safer. This is not mathematical magic. It's a counter-intentional bookkeeping move that tells your system, we honor the past, but we're authorizing future growth. Part 3. The seed allocation. Actually move that tiny amount into a separate pot. If you bank, make it a savings sub-account. If you use envelopes, put a physical coin. If you prefer digital, schedule a micro-transfer. The amount is intentionally small, 0.5 to 2%, because the point is permission, not leverage. You are retraining an internal rule. Honoring the loss does not forbid expansion, it seeds it. Why this works. Psychologically, language reframes shame. Bookkeeping externalizes the new contract so your nervous system can see it. The tiny transfer counter-programs the ancestral vow by creating a new, repeatable ritual of expansion. Over time, the signal accumulates. Your system stops treating every new opportunity as disloyal to the past and starts saying yes where yes is wise. Here's a micro practice you can use each morning or immediately after a loss. Say this aloud or record it into your phone and play it once. I acknowledge the loss of amount. I honor the lesson, and I release its moral hold on my choices. I authorize 1% of my resources as seed for wise expansion. Then make the ledger entry, date, honored sunk, amount, seed allocation, 1% amount. Transfer the seed even if it's small. That simple chain is enough to rewire the rule. If you've been through a recent severe financial trauma, honor yourself. Use the gentler script, and consider doing this with a therapist or financial coach. This is not investment advice, it's a pattern shift. If decisions require technical counsel, consult a qualified professional. Recap in one sentence. The sunk honor pattern turns past loss into a moral chain. The release ledger converts that chain into a seed ritual that restores permission to expand. Watch for immediate outcomes. Smaller anxiety around new opportunities, willingness to test a small price increase, or simply the relief of not carrying yesterday's verdict into today. If you want to decode the full architecture of your financial life, the archetypes, the energetic contracts, the practical ledger moves, explore my complete library at Desmarques.com. You'll find the longer ritual practices, trauma-sensitive variants, and step-by-step ledger templates there. One shift changes your financial destiny. Money is a pattern. Awareness is the key. That is the money pattern. That is the mechanism. And that is your shift today. If you're ready to decode the full architecture of your financial life, explore my complete library at Desmarques.com.